All right, hello Palace, and welcome to your deck review. For those of you joining us for the first time on YouTube, this is a series where I'm Maldhound, a known hater of everything you love. We'll meet you in the middle, and we'll talk about your weird PP and why I hate that too. And your PP is your commander deck's premise and practicum. Your premise is the idea behind your deck. For this, it's an Is It Ovika deck that wants to burn people, and your practicum is the stuff you put in the 99 to help effectuate your dream. So we're going to spend a few minutes talking about whether or not this idea works in the bracket they want it to work at, and they want it to be, they're a goblin player, okay? They're pretending to be a blue player. They're cosplaying blue. They just want to do goblins. All right? And how we do Ovika bracket 3, which is goblins, or mostly just goblins. Could we go to bracket 4? Well, let's look at the deck, because I think the biggest problem here is we want to win through burn, and we have just so many burn spells. Like, it's good that you have ramp. I think this ramp is necessary, this type of really aggressive mana acceleration. I'm immediately ambivalent about Scepter of Eternal Glory. I doubt you have the basics to make this work. So this one probably gets cut for something else. But the general idea of I need to ramp really aggressively to get my commander down before turn 6, that makes sense. What I don't like is we have 30 burn cards. The reason I don't like that is because Ovika's goblin generation, if you want to win the turn after she comes down, that appears to be what you're describing to me, it has to be storm. Like, we need the turn to just keep going, keep going, keep going. And you have a 7 mana commander, so I believe in your ability to make mana, but when a storm deck breaks down, it is normally we have run out of cards. It's always either cards or mana, and you're ramping so aggressively, we probably have mana handled pretty well. But it doesn't seem like we have cards handled. And when we don't have cards handled, all of these things that are like, I'm going to deal 1 damage, then I'm going to triple it. Then I got another guy who's going to deal 2 damage, getting tripled. And God help you, if I spend the 2 to get back Vivi's Persistence, we'll make a 0/1 who will ping you, and then he'll also ping you on non-creature spells. And then you go to do it, and you have 1 card left to cast. And it's like that 1 card hits for 8, which is sick as fuck. But if we want to just kill people the turn after we play it, it has to be a lot more of like, how can I cost reduce stuff or make mana to just cast like half the spells in my deck. Spoiler that would be huge for you is you could do like the new Scarlet Witch for sure if you wanted to do meteor instants and sorceries. But you know, you want to be going like, okay, I've gotten to my commander. I now need, oh, there's a really bad spell that would be perfect for this deck. It's from Strixhaven. Anyways, like Rapturous Moment. Oh. Let me get some new cards into my hand. Let me be mostly mana neutral. Like, we need to keep the cards up. We need to keep the mana up. And that's why so many of those decks are always doing, like, I have Bergi, I have Electro, I have Stormkiln Artist, I have Archmage Emeritus. And whether or not you want to accept it, that is what you are if you want to kill people the turn after Ovika. You can do a mid-range goblin grind. You are always going to be winning turn 10, turn 11 like you are now, and you are going to be playing much more of a control game. Because if you just want to cast 1 spell a turn, which is what you have built this deck to do, you have built this deck to cast 1 instant or sorcery that just hits for a pretty meaty amount of goblin damage every turn. And building it that way is fine, but it's always going to be slow. And so if you really want it to just be like more doublers, more pingers, I really don't want it to be storm, that's okay, but we have to get you then outfitted with big instants and sorceries that do a better job of controlling the board than what we're doing now. Like Spike Rift, hell yeah, okay, fine. Meringue River Regent, decent draw, but the board control option doesn't help us a ton. We don't really have any counter spells. We don't really have one-sided board wipes other than Psych Rift. I mean, I guess we can raise the Palisade, but if we name goblins, we bounce our own commander, which is like devastatingly bad. And many of our, like, not a goblin, 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 not a goblin. Like, we raise the Palisade, we put ourselves in a really, really tough spot. So we have draw, which is like, this is not really true, but you want the game to go long enough that it kind of is. And I've talked previously about Storm really liking Impulse because you really need to hit the important cards. The problem is you have the card draw to hit the important cards. You don't have the important cards. You don't have the cards that we can find that will make everything okay, because you don't have anything that will get you to like solid hand refill other than maybe Will of the Jeskai. Right, we have like Will of the Jeskai, and it would be pretty risky because you would be doing it in bracket 3. But I think like what this deck would want to do, and I'm going to show you in a card that's so expensive you're going to freak out. You would want to be like, Ovika, do I live? I have Deflecting Swat. I have Fierce Guardianship if you fuck with me. Do I untap? I untap? Great. I probably have like 2 cards in hand. I Time Twist, and I hope that the shit I draw off Time Twister wins me the game right then. And you probably have 1 Pinger and 1 Mana Maker. Versus with the deck as it currently stands, I would imagine when we get there we have like 3 Pingers and nothing to make mana and very little to refill our hand. Let's just test that out. If we don't get a ramp early, you probably would have mulliganed this hand. But I just saw Worn Power Stone, so I was like, we have something going on here. So we get to Warstorm Surge or Slash. Both of these are fine. Slash will deal more damage. We'll pop down Slash. We will Ovika, and we'll just pretend we get to untap from here. Right, like it's very threatening. And then we don't really do too much. We're gonna do blue. We're gonna get to Memory Deluge for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We hit Stock Up, which we don't have the colors for. Maybe you put in a ton of basics for Scepter of Eternal Glory. I would undo that change. So we get 4 1/1s. We deal 8 damage to everybody. All right. And then from here, in real life we pass. In fake life we do VV, and we hope to God that we live. But like, if we could hit VV in the run up, like if you have VV on the board before this turn starts, you probably have a chance of just winning the game outright, because we can spend our mana on like Memory Deluging, on stocking up. Maybe we Ricochet Trap, but we probably don't get to. I would probably want this to be like Game Changer free interaction. And then we can use VV mana to try to get us to the point where we either win or we get so close to winning that we can just lock the game down from here. So I think that's what we're missing, is we don't have the tools to take a really explosive turn, because we have tried to hone in too much, I think, on I need to have as many burners as possible, when you don't. You need to have as many ways to continue the mana and card train as possible. And if you have as many ways to continue the mana and card train as possible, 1 burn piece, like 1 Perforos, 1 Slash, that's good. 1 long shot, handled. We don't need this many. It's not even helping us to have this many. They're not even goblins. You came in a racist and you can't even do that right. Protector remove is decent. I hate Ricochet Trap. This seems woefully bad. I think we're trying to be cute, because maybe Ovika cares about that 4 rather than, yeah, like Ovika would see it as 4. I think that is a little bit too cute. This can, yeah, sure, we can pay 3 mana to have this enter untapped. I I would rather just have this be an instant or a sorcery, even though it's good and solid. I don't love Chandra's Ignition because it wipes all of our goblins, and we're supposed to be about goblins. And I know you want to burn people, but like they can swing. They can swing, and it will be useful if you take a big turn. So big spells you can cast that would help a lot are, what's the full name of this spell? Tempest. Call forth the Tempest. Now, unfortunately, this is like crazy expensive because it's a Lord of the Rings exclusive. So either proxy it or just don't buy it. But it does have Cascade, which is good because we care about mana value, not mana spent. So I do believe we can cheat by having a big thing that cascades into multiple small things. But the rest of it, I think you have to get, not have to, you don't have to do anything. You would benefit greatly from getting the rest of, or replacing a fair amount of this burn package with a more typical Storm, Spellslinger, make mana package. So Electro Burgi, Stormkiln Artist, Archmage Emeritus. And then if you're doing like, okay, stock up, but I make 1 mana, I get 1 extra card. Or again, the dream scenario is I have Vivi on the field, but I think those turns either get there or you do so much that you become the archenemy. And most of the time, that's also good enough. Win cons. This one's not true. This one's not true. Yeah, you are like you are way overrating, not really, because it helps like the combat damage too. It's just, we could have just these if we had a more responsible storm deck, but I think we are tunnel visioning crazy hard into the I'm burning you, I'm burning you, I'm burning you, I'm burning you, I'm burning you. And so if we want these to be our like crazy fucking top end things, don't have so many of these other just random guys. Like just get, if you triple the damage of Perforos, is that not enough for you, dog? Like Garfield in the lasagna pan. What type of Scrooge McDuckian shit is happening at your games where you're like, I deal 6 to each opponent per non-creature spell I cast minimum, or I deal like 12 if it's 2 mana. But that's not enough. I need Terror of the Peaks too. And then we got a beef draw up. I would probably value like 2 mana or 3 mana. I actually take back what I said about Scarlet Witch. I think it's going to make you too greedy because I don't want you to be on like, oh yeah, I'm going to storm off with spells that cost 4 or more mana. We're going to get into another consistency problem there. But like 2 to 3 mana impulse or card draw spells, I think are where you want to be. Get the standard storm stuff. You can keep most of these you can keep these as win cons because they will convert decently. Stop the nonsense with the 11 mountains. The Scepter of Eternal Glory thing is not happening. Tokens, yeah, sure. You fuck ass. This is, that explains a lot, quite frankly. That explains why we're indexed so heavily into doing it. I think he's funnier as a cameo than he is as a side creature. Think of how the Deadpool movie used, was it Tom Cruise or Matt Damon? Like, who fuck? Brad Pitt. That was the one. Where he's the invisible guy and you see him for 2 seconds because he gets electrified on the power line. Like, I think that's how Krenko should exist in this deck. Whereas right now, you've built a deck that will do really good when Krenko comes down, and will slump a lot when Krenko's not there because it just wants to be a Krenko deck. You can do a Phyrexian Goblin deck, and Krenko's there as like the fun cousin, the fun uncle. He's overseeing a new Goblin factory. But Ovika need draw card. Need draw card, need make mana. Now, please. Need draw card, need make mana. And it doesn't all have to be like the stock super good stuff. You can play stuff like Rapturous Moment that we talked about previously. You can play stuff like this guy, who is a goblin that can hit people. If you cast any of your really big spells like Call Forth the Tempest or Rapturous Moment, you can float a bunch of red. This would also work with like Mana Geyser, which works to float a bunch of red. You could index more heavily if you want to stay red leaning in your mana base. You could try to like Exile Storm with Ren's Resolve S spells to use the red mana better. But we have to bring, I would say, this section, Tremor or Burn, goes down to 18 at most. Cut 10 of these. Cut 10 of these and turn them into things that produce you mana or keep the conveyor belt moving. And if you do that, you will find way more turns where you go, okay, Ovika, I untap, I win, or I get really damn close. And if you want to stay on this plan, if you want this many burn cards, what you do is you have all this ramp, you have all this burn, you would bring in Scarlet Witch, and you would bring in Goblin Core Maestro, and every single instant or sorcery you cast has to be a like 8 mana I'm killing you spell. And that would also be very fun. That would be slower, but it would not be Storm, and it would be very like, I'm going to cast this massive fuck off spell, and then a bunch of goblins are going to hit you. So that would be stuff like Volcanic Vision, where it's just like, I'm tapping out for this. It's going to make 7 goblins. The 7 goblins are going to deal 14 to the table. Nobody's dead, but I've board wiped you, and I've gotten Rapturous Moment back into my hand. And you're just trying to cast spells of like 6 CMC and up. And that could also be pretty fun. You would still win around turn 10 or 11, but you would feel impactful from around turn 5 or 6. And the beautiful part about that is even if Ovika gets removed, you would still be doing big crazy shit until you could replay Ovika. Because you would be doing like Call Forth the Tempest, like we talked about. You would have like Volcanic Vision, you'd have Rapturous Moment, do like Apex of Power. This would be like the greediest thing you could get away with by far. But that is where I would be at. I would do like mana value greater than or equal to 6, type. I would look at sorceries first. Commander, is it? You know, you could do shit like Brass's Bounty, deal 14 damage. Full Throttle is kind of crazy, actually. That's a little bit loud if you can swing with these goblins at all, because they all have haste. That's 18 damage just from your commander. That is 18 damage just off your commander. So, tie it all in a loop. There is 100% a Storm plan that we are currently 70% of the way to, and nothing works less than a 70% of the way Storm deck. So if you want to storm off and take a big turn and win the turn after you play Ovika, you have to shape up the sandbox of Storm and cut way down on this burn. If you are unwilling to cut down on burn, you have to keep all this ramp, get Scarlet Witch, and every spell you cast has to be an insane haymaker. And you're still going to win turn 10 or 11, but you're going to have 5 crazy turns before that. So if anybody in the comments has a different idea, please let me know. I hope this helps, and I wish you the best of luck.